In construction, mistakes are never just technical, they are psychological. Steel does not fail by itself. Concrete does not collapse because it wants to. Behind every failure, delay, cost overrun, and accident, there is always a human decision. And behind many of those decisions, there is something far more powerful than calculations or drawings. There is ego. The engineer's ego is one of the most dangerous invisible forces on any construction site. It does not appear on risk registers. It is not written in method statements. It does not show up in BIM models or safety manuals. Yet it silently shapes how people think, how they speak, how they listen, and most importantly, how they decide under pressure. Engineers are trained to be problem solvers. From the first day of university, they are taught that the world is logical, measurable, and controllable. Every problem has a solution. Every system can be optimized. Every failure can be prevented if the right method is applied. Over time, this training builds something powerful inside the mind: confidence. But when confidence is not balanced with humility, it slowly transforms into ego. Ego is not just arrogance. Ego is the psychological need to feel right, to feel superior, to protect one's identity as the expert. On construction sites, ego often hides behind professionalism, authority, and experience. It speaks in subtle ways. I've been doing this for 20 years. This is how we always do it. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. These sentences sound harmless, but psychologically they are dangerous. Because the moment an engineer believes they cannot be wrong, learning stops, listening stops, doubt disappears. And when doubt disappears, risk increases. Construction is one of the few industries where overconfidence can physically reshape reality. In offices, ego may create bad emails or failed meetings. But on construction sites, ego creates cracks in structures, unsafe shortcuts, ignored warnings, and sometimes irreversible disasters. The engineer's ego problem usually begins with success. The first projects go well, problems are solved, deadlines are met, compliments are received. Slowly, the brain starts building a narrative. I am good at this. I am smarter than others. My judgment is reliable. This narrative feels motivating. It builds identity. But psychologically, it also creates a blind spot. The brain begins filtering information. It accepts data that confirms its self-image and ignores data that threatens it. This is called confirmation bias. On construction sites, confirmation bias is deadly. Engineers start seeing what they expect to see, not what is actually happening. If drawings show something is safe, they assume it is safe. If calculations say it works, they stop questioning. If a junior engineer raises concerns, they dismiss them. Not because the concerns are wrong, but because accepting them would damage the ego. Ego turns experience into a prison. The more experienced someone becomes, the more their past success controls their future thinking. They rely on memory instead of observation. They trust habits instead of reality. They follow old patterns in new environments. But construction environments constantly change. New materials, new soil conditions, new technologies, new risks. The world evolves, but the ego wants stability. It wants certainty. It wants to feel in control, even when control is an illusion. This is why many failures happen in senior teams, not junior ones. Juniors still question. Seniors often stop questioning. One of the most dangerous forms of ego in engineering is the hero mindset, the belief that one person can solve everything. That leadership means having all the answers, that asking for help is weakness. This mindset is reinforced by project culture. Managers are rewarded for speed, for confidence, for appearing decisive, rarely for being uncertain. But uncertainty is not weakness. Uncertainty is intelligence. It means the brain is still open. Ego closes the mind. It creates psychological rigidity. The engineer becomes emotionally attached to their own ideas. When someone challenges them, it feels like a personal attack, not a technical discussion. The conversation becomes emotional, not rational. This is why some meetings feel tense without anyone understanding why. It is not about drawings or budgets. It is about identity. Someone's self-image is being threatened. On high-pressure projects, ego becomes even stronger. Deadlines approach, costs rise, stress increases. The brain shifts into survival mode. In survival mode, humans seek control. They become more defensive, less patient, less reflective. Ego feels like safety. It feels like strength, but psychologically, it reduces awareness. The engineer stops scanning for risk and starts defending their position. This leads to a dangerous pattern. Warnings are ignored because they slow things down. Safety concerns are minimized because they complicate schedules. Design flaws are hidden because admitting them feels like failure. And slowly, reality starts diverging from assumptions. Most construction disasters are not sudden. They are long processes of denial. Small signs appear early, minor cracks, minor delays, minor complaints. But ego reframes them as normal, acceptable, not serious. The real failure happens inside the mind long before it happens in concrete. Ego also damages communication. On complex projects, success depends on collective intelligence. No single person can see the whole system. Structural, MEP, geotechnical, safety, planning, procurement, operations. Every discipline sees a different part of reality, but ego makes people compete instead of collaborate. They protect their territory, their authority, their reputation. Information becomes political instead of factual. People speak less honestly. They hide uncertainty. They pretend to understand things they don't, because in ego-driven cultures, admitting ignorance feels dangerous. This creates a silent psychological contract. Everyone pretends everything is under control, even when no one fully understands the system. And systems that no one fully understands are the most dangerous systems of all. The engineer's ego problem is not about bad people. It is about human psychology under pressure. The brain evolved to protect identity, not truth. Ego is a survival mechanism. It defends the self-image. It avoids shame. It seeks respect. But construction requires the opposite. It requires constant self-doubt, continuous learning, emotional neutrality, intellectual humility. The best engineers in history were not the most confident. They were the most self-aware. They understood that intelligence without humility is dangerous. That speed without reflection is meaningless. That success is not the absence of mistakes, but the ability to detect them early inside the mind. Great engineering is not about being right. It is about staying open to being wrong. The most powerful construction teams are not those with the smartest individuals, but those with the healthiest psychology. Where people can say, "I don't know," where juniors can challenge seniors, where mistakes are analyzed, not punished, where questions are valued more than answers. In these environments, ego slowly dissolves. And when ego dissolves, awareness increases, communication improves, safety rises, innovation becomes possible. The real battlefield of construction is not on the ground. It is inside attention, perception, memory, emotion, and belief. Cranes move steel, but minds move decisions. Schedules move time, but psychology moves reality. Construction is not ultimately about buildings. It is about the human desire to leave a mark on existence, to transform imagination into geography, to make thoughts visible in physical space. And every structure standing on Earth today is proof that the human brain, with all its flaws and biases, is still the most powerful construction machine ever created. But only when it learns to control its own ego. Because the greatest engineering challenge is not how to build higher, faster, or cheaper. It is how to think more honestly, listen more deeply, and remain psychologically humble in a world that constantly rewards confidence over awareness. That is the engineer's real problem, and also the engineer's greatest opportunity.